Hello, everybody. Welcome to Juniority. I'm your host, Mona, and today I have a fabulous, incredible, phenomenal guest for you guys. Her name is Inspiring Vanessa, and she's all the way from the UK. I'm so excited that she's joining us. A quick announcement, tomorrow at 11 a.m., we're actually doing shout out to Jaquil Jackson from Project I Am. We're going to do a virtual packing party. We're collaborating, so I'm super excited about that. So be sure to tune in and watch that. Thank you, Jaquil, for giving us this opportunity and for allowing us to be a part of your virtual packing party. We're super excited. Now, without further ado, let's meet our guest, Inspiring Vanessa. Hi!
Hi!
How are you?
I'm so good. I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for being here. I feel like you and I have chatted on social media for a while, like always trying to make this happen, but I know you're busy, but I'm so glad you're here today. Super excited to pick your brain, talk to you, get to know you more. So thank you for making the time to be here with me.
Thank you. Anytime. And it's just great that we can finally do this virtually. Yeah. Whoever it is, we're still getting the questions there and putting the content out there.
Absolutely, for sure. It's like we can't stop because of COVID, and I love that. Thank you. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So, as you can probably hear by my accent, I am from the UK. I'm currently in London. I've been here since I was born, and I'm 14 years old, and I'm an international multi-award-winning motivational speaker. I'm also a content creator, and I'm a talk show host of my own Amazon Prime show called The Inspiring Vanessa Show.
Yeah, and I saw that. Oh my gosh. I mean, the list is long, and I can't wait to talk about everything separately. but you kind of do it all, and that's what I love about like young people these days. It's like I am like 10 things, and I'm just like, okay, and you guys really are like savvy at everything that you do, and you hone your skills, and I love that about you guys. So you are a motivational speaker. Tell me how that started for you. Tell me the story behind it.
So I began doing motivational speaking 4 years ago. So that was when I was 9 years old. I turned 14 in August, because I know sometimes that confuses people when I say 4 years ago. I was 9 years old when I first spoke on stage, and the idea kind of came across to me.
Yeah.
We were attending an inspirational event. There were a bunch of YouTubers there, entrepreneurs. It was just a very positive, influential event with a lot of just really great people. And one of the speakers there invited me to go up on stage with him, like I think 2 minutes before. To be honest, I was very, very scared, very, very nervous, because although I do speaking and although I do social media, I still classify myself as an introvert. I can be outgoing and really talkative and bubbly when I want to be, but otherwise I can be really introverted. So I was very much in my own bubble all the time, or most of the time anyways, when I was 9 or when I was much younger. So the idea of speaking on stage and having people judge me and being vulnerable to that wasn't the ideal thing I had pictured in my head. But my mum encouraged me. I went up on stage, said some quotes. I think, believe in yourself, go and get your dreams, or something along those lines that you see. And then afterwards, I just realized that this is a way I can help people. If I can give people advice on different things, or just share information that's going to be valuable to them and teach them a lesson, then that's my own way of helping people in this world. And although I was an introvert, I did talk a lot. So if I mix those two together, then you obviously have a motivational speaker, and that kind of idea of freedom as well. When you do speaking was something that really drew me in. So when I was 9, I was just like, Mum, can I start my YouTube channel? Can I start doing speaking? And then ever since then, that's kind of how Inspiring Vanessa was born.
That's amazing. So I want to pick apart certain parts. So extrovert, introvert. What do you do to make space for the introvert in you?
That's a very good question. I've never been asked that question before. I would say, although it's not the best thing to do, I do usually go on my phone or watch something, but it does really help me just kind of just like do nothing. And because I obviously do so much, just like, on a daily basis, or just during my routine, my weekly routine, you can say, or editing stuff, doing interviews, me interviewing other people as well, on Instagram Live, that does take a lot of kind of like mental capacity. So by the end of the week, sometimes I do feel like quite mentally drained, because I'm just like, can I just have like just sometimes we just basically do nothing and just like kind of let myself breathe. I would say also one of my favorite ways to kind of like relax, especially just kind of tune in with just being kind of in my own bubble, is I love cleaning, or just like doing something.
Yeah.
So my mum was annoyed at me throughout the week because my room looks like a bomb went off in my room.
Yeah.
And when I'm actually feeling stressed, or I feel like I want to kind of just cleanse myself, then I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
I can just. And for me, that is the best kind of therapy, or it's just very therapeutic for me to just tidy up my room and just kind of, just let myself kind of just be in a moment, I feel like, rather than kind of having my brain going from one thing to another. So I definitely say those are certain things that I do to kind of keep in touch with my introverted self.
And I totally can relate to that. I think I've heard it say cleaning for clarity, and it's so important to like just, that's such a great point. I love that. So going back to your motivational speaking skills, how did you develop them? Like, what were some things that you did? And I know you've been coached. What are some things that, if a young person, they want to speak in public, and like what are the key components and how do they build up and develop those skills?
Um, to be honest, I didn't actually know how to speak on stage properly before I kind of went to do, well, before I started to go to events where they kind of just taught you more information about how to speak on stage. Otherwise, it was just kind of came naturally to me, so I wouldn't really get nervous when I spoke on stage. But when I did do the training, I learned so much. Like, the amount of just information you get is so valuable. It's insane. But I think one of the main things I learned was just trying to be as authentic with your audience as possible. If you mess up in your speech, just kind of play it off because you are human at the end of the day. Um, and also, if it comes to like telling your story and letting yourself just be also just like emotionally vulnerable to the audience, that does take a lot, and most people can't do that, even to like some of their like closest friends or family members. But to kind of let yourself be authentic and be true to your audience as well, it's really going to help whatever message you're trying to share land as well. There are so many other technical things that really make people listen to your speech. Like, it goes from literally like the stage positioning where you stand to like the tone of your voice and how that impacts the audience or the person who's listening to your speech. So I've learned a lot. I definitely say just kind of don't be afraid to mess up because you are human. Everyone starts off at somewhere. You're obviously not going to be completely robotic and not have any mistakes in the speech that you do. So I think try and accept that, and learn how to connect with your audience more, so that the message that you're trying to share is going to land.
Very cool. I love all those points that you made. What is the largest crowd that you have spoken for?
The largest crowd I've spoken in front of was 2,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I'd
awesome.
love to, yeah, I'd love to do bigger. Um, Obviously this year hasn't, well, I have done a few events like in March around that time, but otherwise it's kind of been a little bit sad that I can't really kind of just get out there and really just like, yeah, just do the motivational speaking part of what I do anyway. So I'm definitely missing it, and going to the events and speaking to people, and yeah, just also hearing other people's speeches. That's also just really interesting and just, yeah, informative, I definitely say. But the biggest audience I've spoken in front of was 2,000. But if I could do 10,000, that would be a dream come true. Maybe not for some people, but me, and from in my eyes, that would make a good impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we are all going to be ready once we're back to normal to find a little inspiration. So yeah, it will be good timing when we finally get back into it. So I look forward to it as well. So I'm gonna go back a little bit to what you said. Authenticity is important, and I completely agree. And I love that point. But also, kind of what you said, expectation versus reality, right? Like, if you mess up on stage, and I feel like, especially for somebody who's a motivational speaker, I feel like you are probably one of the reasons you're probably a motivational speaker is because you expect so much of yourself. And so, like, you also want to elevate other people. Or at least for me, that's how I feel. So expectation versus reality. You go on stage with a certain expectation, and then, yeah, you mess up. How do you, like, what's the self-talk there, because expecting a lot from yourself is a great thing because it lets you perform at a X level. But then how do you also find a way to be gentle with yourself when you mess up?
That is also a really, really good question. To be honest, I'm not the best person at just trying to like let things off when I do kind of mess up on something, or I don't feel like I've done my best. I'm definitely a perfectionist. Definitely, I'm a very big perfectionist. I like everything to be very particular, just like with everything, I feel like. But when I am preparing for a speech, most of the time I am very happy with it. Sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was absolutely amazing. I think that was one of my best speeches yet. there are moments where I just feel really like proud of myself, and I don't really have those moments that often until I've like worked for a really long time or something. Like I need to validate myself in order for me to actually like see that effect on myself. But I'd say, like, I think I did a speech like 3 years ago or something at an event, and I was just like, I think I was crying when I left the event. I was like, Mom, that was so bad. The message didn't even land. Like, I wasn't even speaking well. I don't think anyone really understood what I was talking about. So I do, or maybe in the past, I was getting quite distraught over the fact that I didn't think I did well. But despite that, people would still tell me that I did really well because it was the first time they'd ever heard me speak. So the fact that I was 10 or something speaking about certain things, that was enough for them to see the help that I was trying to create in the world, or to some extent. But I say, if you are being too hard on yourself, it is good to have high expectations, push yourself out there, get yourself out of your comfort zone, but at the same time, appreciate the fact that you still did it in the first place. Maybe in your eyes, you didn't make the impact that you wanted to make, but in someone else's eyes, you could have changed their whole day, their whole year. You never know what piece of information that maybe you didn't think was valuable, but someone else, that's going to really help them in the future or in that situation that they might be in. So I think just thinking about how it could still be helping people despite your own kind of self-criticism, I'd say.
Amazing, amazing. I absolutely love that. That's fantastic.
Thank
You're welcome. And I can relate to that so in so many ways. So it's funny, when I was getting ready to do like preparing for this interview and my questions, I'm like, Vanessa thinks she's coming here to be interviewed, but this is actually like a consultation for me. It's basically like I really genuinely want to know like how you handle this, because you started so young and you have all this experience, and it's really amazing. So I congratulate you on just doing it. But going to your books, you have written 2 books. Tell me about why you wrote them and what was the process for you.
So the first book I wrote, or the first book that actually came out, is called The 5 Secrets to Public Speaking Success. The second one is called Vanessa's Book of Quotes. Fun fact, originally Vanessa's Book of Quotes was meant to come out first, but we were confused about the layout of the book and how it wanted to be. So we were thinking about any other ideas. When I say we, I mean my mum and I. I'm thinking of any ideas to create something to make that extra step to help someone if I'm not speaking in front of them. So my mum was like, why don't you just do a book about motivational speaking? And I was like, actually, that's a very, very good idea. So after that, I just wrote the chapters for it. There are obviously 5 chapters that resemble the 5 secrets. I won't share all of them because you have to get the book to understand what is shared inside of the book. But I think I wrote it in the span of a month.
Okay.
It's not a really thick book. Otherwise, that would sound super impressive. I'd be like, yeah, the book is this thick and I wrote it in a month, in 30 days or something. Do that. It's a very easy read, I'd say. But because it is aimed for younger people, usually when I see a really thick book that isn't like extremely intriguing to me, I'm going to be put off by it. So the fact that it's a thin book also just helps the fact that they're more likely to read it, and that information is going to get across to that person, that young person. So the process, I was still in primary school at the time when my first book came out, and I think I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, or actually no, 7 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at 6 now, but 7 o'clock in the morning, I spent half an hour right after I woke up writing the book, just adding to it, because apparently that's when your ideas or your mind is most like just cleansed out of anything. You're just focusing purely on what you're doing in that moment. And then after that, I just get ready, go to school. So I did that for half an hour every morning for a month, and that really, I think, helped create the book and just add to it. And also had new ideas the next morning I woke up, so it almost was a really good start to my day as well. Vanessa's book of quotes was actually a really hard book, I'd say, in my opinion, because there are 30 quotes in the book that are made by myself, written by myself. They've
Wow.
also got meaning behind them. Um, for me, maybe not for some other people, but when I read a quote, I understand it automatically. So I can see the lesson they're trying to teach me in that quote, and then I can put that into whatever I want to do. But for some people, they read a quote and they don't understand maybe the metaphors that I used or the terminology. So I'm like, that kind of defeats the purpose of having a quote, because if they're meant to
Right.
be and people don't know what they mean, how's it going to make any impact? So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I'm going to try and create my own quotes. Writing 30 of them was quite hard, to be honest. I think I had a few already made up, but getting it to that 30 was quite difficult and challenging, but we got there in the end. But I think it's just the meanings behind it is going to help whoever is reading it understand what the quote means, and then they can amplify that onto their routine, their lifestyle, and then the quote actually makes the impact that it's meant to make when I wrote it or when someone else said it or wrote it as well.
Amazing. That's really fantastic. I love that. Speaking of inspirational quotes, you have a favorite quote. Tell me about your favorite quote and what it means.
Um, I'd say my favorite quote is one of them in my quote book, and it's called, or it is, opportunities are like bubbles, so you have to catch them before they pop.
Mm.
So behind it is that if you see the bubbles symbolizing the opportunities, you need to take that next level and get out of your comfort zone to get the opportunity, because that could take you to the next step towards your goal, your dream, whatever you want to be in your life, or that idea of happiness that you envision yourself to be at. So if you need to get out of your comfort zone to catch those bubbles, otherwise it will be given to someone else, or someone
Mm.
else will do it, and then the opportunity is also taken away, because it only comes once most of the time. It's only that
Amazing.
certain type of opportunity that comes once, so you might as well just take it and see where that's going to take you, and where that's going to get you in the end as well. It's going to take you to the next stage. So that's the quote that I feel like I like the most, because sometimes I'm like, do I really want to do this or not? Then I'm like, what if there's someone in the audience who knows this person, who knows that person? It's such a small world, honestly. In my 4 years of doing speaking, it shocks me how many people know each other that we know. It's like everyone is just mutual friends at the end of the day. It might not show it on your Facebook account, but everyone is mutual friends, whether you know it or not. So
Yeah.
it's not just, you know, people have some people have really good connections, so you never know who knows who. So I think just trying to, or reminding myself also, to just go out there, put myself out there to see where the opportunity is going to take me and how that's going to influence other people as well.
Amazing. Talk to me about travel. You have traveled all over the place. Tell us about some places that you've traveled and spoken at.
So I've spoken in Slovakia, I've spoken obviously here in the UK, I've spoken in Dubai, I've spoken in Kenya, and that was an amazing experience. I've spoken in Bali and Malaysia. I'd love to go speaking in like everywhere, to be honest, because I love traveling so much. Obviously, it wasn't really that easy to do or do like abroad speaking gigs during this time during the pandemic this year. But I think just getting to travel is just such an amazing opportunity in itself,
Mm.
and it's just such a great thing. That's also one of the reasons why I was so kind of, I feel, attracted to doing speaking. I was like, oh my gosh, people literally go on stage, help people, talk, travel around the world, and are basically their own boss. So that for me
It's
was
amazing.
so insane for me, because I never
Yeah.
heard about it before. In schools they don't really tell you about that, or yeah, just people don't really mention it. It's quite unknown, to be honest, unless you grow up in a society or with a family who is influenced by that already or has their own self-development journey. So traveling is just amazing, and you also get to meet so many different people. Yeah, it's just a fantastic experience overall, so I'd love to travel to loads of other places and impact more people globally as well.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Um, Speaking of Kenya, I want to play this video real quick. and then we'll talk about it.
Inspire Vanessa, thank you for donating this book to helping all the kids to read and just to be inspired by you. So I just want she to read a small paragraph. Okay, have a read for me.
Vanessa speaks with such passion on conviction which empowers adults triple her age, and every conversation is one of positivity and the need for growth.
So you think the 10-year-old girl can write this? You inspired by her?
Yeah,
You interesting to read all her book?
yeah, and I can't wait to read it.
You can't wait to read. Did you?
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you. So when say 1, 2, 3, we say thank you, Vanessa. Yeah, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Vanessa.
I believe in 2017. So 3 years ago. Sounds so crazy. It feels like just yesterday when we went there. But I went there to. I was one of the youngest volunteers who went out there to support the kids in the orphanages in Kenya with H Giving, which is a very close charity to my heart. I raised, I believe, 1.4 thousand for them.
Amazing.
Off one of my paintings at one of the events when I think 10 or something. It was an amazing experience that I knew that I could that I was capable of that myself, because I was shocked when it kind of all occurred. But we went there and it was just such a meaningful experience. Like, you can't even put into words how you feel, and it's just so, like, you just learn a lot. Like, whatever you go there to learn when you're helping the kids or just seeing how the kids live in the orphanages is something that people learn in their whole lifetime, it feels like. So I'd say that because they are less fortunate and because they don't have, like, nowhere near as much as we have, and they still manage to put smiles on their faces or find something good out of their day or still have that ounce of gratitude that's going to keep them going, that sometimes most of us don't even focus on a daily basis. That tells you a lot, and that tells you a lot about the world we live in. So after I came back, I really just started to appreciate what I had. A funny story, when we were in the orphanage, the bathroom they have there is quite literally just a hole in the ground. So when I got home and I saw my toilet, I literally hugged my toilet. My mum has a photo of me hugging my toilet when we came back from Kenya, and it just
Oh my gosh.
it sounds really silly, but
Yeah.
out there for like 10 days, 2 weeks, just literally like just adapting to this whole different environment.
Yeah.
When you get back, it's like a whole different world that you just forgot that you used to live in almost. Although it does sound silly or funny, I genuinely was so just happy that I had my toilet back, and just being in my house and understanding how much that we actually have, because in their eyes we live in quite literally like royalty. We have a roof over our heads, we've got a warm house to live in, we've got a duvet, we've got a pillow, we've got like family members who really do love us and are doing the best for us. So for some of them, they can't relate to those type of things, and that really just tells you a lot. So the whole experience was just so amazing. As I said, it's just like just kind of speechless when it comes to it. But when we went to one of the other schools in Kenya, when I was in primary school at the time, I got I think some kids to draw portraits of themselves, and then we brought I don't even know how many we had, but we had a lot. And my school really helped, because it's like an optional homework. So basically my name was like in people's homework files, and all the teachers were handing them out. Draw a portrait of yourself, hand them back, and then they're going to go to Kenya. And then when we went to Kenya in the school, the kids in the school drew portraits of themselves, and we gave them, basically the kids here, we gave them their portraits, and then the portraits from Kenya were taken back here to give to all the students. So it was such just a surreal experience, the fact that I could do that and I had that support. So who knows if they still have them. They're hanging out somewhere in their room, that they know that some some student in England is kind of looking over them, but it was a really just impactful experience overall, and I definitely recommend for anyone to just go and do that. Not to boost your own self-confidence, not to make yourself feel like a better person, but for the experience. Not only that, but to understand the way that people do live, and to learn how you should be more grateful for the things that we have around us and appreciating more things. And you're helping the kids who are out there who almost don't have nothing, or anything. Yeah.
That's beautiful. What an incredible, wow. That's really awesome, and having such like a personalized experience with people is so beautiful, and I really, really, really love that. That's so amazing. So talk to me about your signature topics. I want to like go through them, and I would love for you to give me a nugget from each. So in terms of mindset, what would you say about that?
I talk about mindset because it really does kind of form everything, especially when I'm talking to young people about mindset. If they don't want to go to school one day, or they're just tired in the morning, you change your mindset in the beginning of the day, your whole day is going to basically transform almost.
Yeah.
So I feel like mindset is like all your thoughts and beliefs and the way you think about things. So the minute you change that, or you get a growth mindset, or you start thinking positively, a lot of things are going to kind of turn around for you, or just it's going to feel like a almost weight lifted off your shoulders.
Amazing. Inspiration, and I also would love to know, as somebody who inspires other people, what do you do to find inspiration for Vanessa?
If I'm trying to find inspiration for a speech that I don't know what to do, then I do look on a lot of I do watch a lot of TED Talks. They are always very, very, really just great to watch. I definitely recommend to watch them. Not even if you want to get ideas for speaking, but just to learn something new, because you're going to learn a lot when you listen to those. Also, I listen to a lot of podcasts and motivational videos to kind of get my ideas going through. But in terms of just inspiration, it's just anything that is going to make that impact or make that influence, which is the most important thing, I guess, when I'm doing speaking. That's why I don't just say I'm a motivational speaker. I do presenting, I do interviews, I do social media, I do YouTube, because all of those still go under making an impact, or go towards making a change towards the person who's going to be reading, watching, listening to that content. So you never really know. That's why I talk about inspiration.
Amazing. Love and fear.
You did your research. I definitely did a lot of research. Very nostalgic, might I say. Just kind of unlocked memory that I forgot I had. That when I was 10, I kind of just learned about this illness. I forgot the word you used for it, but it's just a way you can think about things. It's a really great way to just simplify it down and see things from a much simpler perspective. But it is a really deep thing if you think about it more often. So love and fear, when I'm talking about that, if people grow up in a society, obviously everyone grows up, everyone grows up with a lot of love, and people have a really small ounce of fear. And depending on the society that you grow up with, the people you hang around with, that love can shrink. And then as that love shrinks, that fear can grow. And also an example, if you see a baby, they are almost fearless because they are not aware of anything or any dangers in the world that that hasn't been introduced to them. So if, for example, arachnophobia, are scared of spiders, if the parent sees a spider near the baby's actually fine because they've never understood why people would be scared of it, or they just haven't understood that. If the parent is scared of it, the baby senses it, they cry. That starts to show a sense of fear that this creature is bad. Now, I don't like spiders, but perhaps if I grew up with no one in my family disliking spiders, I would have a completely different view to that, because of other people's beliefs as well. So I think we need to understand that your environment creates such a big impact, and the fear that you have and the love that you have just in yourself can kind of just change between the two depending on your surroundings.
That's beautiful. Wow. I love your that you put love and fear side by side and the correlation between that. That's amazing. Fantastic. Wow. You also help children with confidence coaching. What are some things that you have seen with young people that you are like, okay, I want to coach this part of you? What is some commonalities that you see in young people where they, like, an area that they need help with?
As I was saying previously, I think mindset is a really big thing.
Okay.
In terms of like confidence, I'd say just the way they think about themselves, that can change their confidence levels as well. And also the like self-love, I'd say, is a big part of confidence. You need your self-love before you can start being confident in yourself and other people also. But I'd definitely say mindset and self-love is a really big thing that I'd say that a lot of young people unfortunately do lack. I would say that's purely because of society and just stereotypes, I'd say. So I feel like a lot of young people do kind of have bad views of themselves. I don't know why, but that's just the case. So I'd say if confidence is going to, well, it will help them kind of just increase that self-love because of the way they see themselves, and they're going to start thinking more positively and change their perspective on different things. Yeah. That's going to help them with self-love and also change their mindset while they're at it.
Amazing. So I want to piggyback on that. Do you think social media has a big role in why maybe people feel like that?
Now you might think I'm like, oh, of course, she would not say that social media is bad. She's a media influencer. Why would she say that? Why would she be going against what she believes in? But I am going to say that social media does play a big part in stereotypes and the way that people perceive themselves and other people 1,000%.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not ashamed to say, well, I am ashamed to say, but I can admit that I am pretty much addicted to my phone, my technological devices. Unless I'm not overthinking something or in a deep train of thought, I will be literally going on my phone because I've got nothing. That's like my pure instinct now. That's kind of the way our generation is being brought up at this current moment. But I'd say it does play a really big part because of, if you look at TV and film, a certain race or a certain gender that is perceived in a certain way, or on social media, if someone gets praised because they look this idea of perfection, and if you don't look like that, that means that you're not right, or that you obviously aren't beautiful inside or outside, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think the whole, like, everything just adds towards this idea of stereotypes, and that is what makes people think badly of themselves and other people as well. That's why we have so much judgment in the world. That's why we have so many people not accepting each other because of that. So I definitely say that TV, film, media, social media as well, stereotypes are definitely rooted in there, and that's what makes people think differently about themselves, unfortunately. So that's something we need to change and help people have more positive feeds. So even if you are addicted, you're looking at things that are going to add to your mindset rather than take away from that.
Wow. So many amazing points that you mentioned. I want to go back to what you said about perception. And what I've kind of gotten, even from what you said, is that when you see social media and there's a certain image or an ideal that you think you're supposed to look like, it's like almost putting, like, if I gave you shades that had tint and it was red, and you would see that room, like, you know, it would have this red tint in it. So very much like that, when you see yourself through this glass, then it almost becomes harder to appreciate and see yourself exactly for what you are. And so there's a huge opportunity that's missed from being able to see the perfection and the beauty within yourself, how you are, because you've put on these glasses that society told you. And we all live in it, we're all immersed in it. It's definitely something we like. I have to consciously remind myself, and it's not always easy, but I completely agree about the idealistic perception and that image that we put against ourselves. So very good point. I love that. So how has COVID changed things for you? You're a huge YouTuber. You're doing Instagram live interviews. How has it changed things for you? I know it took like the opportunities of doing public speaking, it's kind of on pause for a second, but you've shifted gears, you've adjusted. Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you're doing.
So quarantine was just a whole roller coaster, I'd say. A whole roller coaster of emotions, experiences, just learning about yourself, I'd say, as well. I'd say at the beginning of quarantine, I was very stressed because when I was at school, that was my time being at school. I didn't have to worry about inspiring Vanessa. So those are two different parts of myself that I could kind of turn off and turn on when I had to.
Yeah.
When I was in quarantine, it's literally both of my worlds just like colliding together. So I was like, okay, so how am I going to be dealing with this? Because I'm definitely not the best person to deal with stress. I got overwhelmed very, very easily, and it does not affect me in the best way. Like, you'll know when I'm stressed. You will know. I can't play it off very well. So you'll know when I'm feeling stressed or feeling overwhelmed. So I think at the beginning of quarantine, I was just confused and just overwhelmed because I had to do my schoolwork, make sure that I'm still remembering stuff, because when I come back to school and I don't know anything, it's not going to be very good for me. And then obviously having to edit videos or film videos, that was really stressful as well. Eventually I did kind of get through it, make sure that I'm doing things one at a time so that I'm not thinking about what's ahead. Like, oh my gosh, look how many things I need to do. And then actually look at it like, okay, let's just do this. Once I'm done, I can have that satisfying feeling of ticking it off and then go to the next step, rather than thinking of everything just straight ahead. But I was doing videos for another amazing foundation, which is called the Young Urban Arts Foundation. It is run by our amazing friend. And I was making videos for them, for their young audience as well. And that was so much fun to do. And it was just really great that I had almost another platform and place to get that message out there. Also talking about mental health, as it was really prime just during lockdown anyway. It's prime all the time, but especially in lockdown, it was very, very evident. And then I kind of decided to do the Instagram lives. Now it's something that I usually do now. I was never doing them before quarantine. I think they're just a way for me to get more content out there, because I always knew that lives were fun to do. It was a great way for my audience to understand who I was more, a bit more raw, rather than just having me on an interview or a obviously pre-filmed YouTube video. It's really just me being myself right in front of them and being just authentic, as I was saying before. So I don't know how many Instagram live interviews I've done over quarantine or up until now, but it's definitely a lot. Definitely a lot. But I've learned so much about how social media works, more than I did before as well, and also just about how other people work and think as well, which was really just eye-opening, I'd say. But it was quite stressful. It is getting a little bit stressful now, because obviously I'm back actually at school. I'm traveling to school now, traveling back, and then I have to go and do an Instagram live interview. And although it doesn't seem like that much effort or work to get your questions prepared, film a little intro for the person, let the person speak, you ask the question, back and forth, and then you're done. It does take a lot of emotional just like work. Like it can really make brain if you're
I
not.
just like, yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, you could relate to what I'm saying.
Oh
It
my
can
gosh,
really
yeah.
brain if you're not focusing on it in the right way or monitoring it properly. But I think the Instagram live interviews were just, I think I'm very glad that I did make that decision or agreed to do it when my mum kind of came up with the idea as well and start doing them, because that has really helped me grow and helped me meet a lot of new incredible individuals that I would never be able to meet during quarantine if it wasn't for doing the lives.
Amazing. I'm so glad that you're doing them, and I know I completely understand how tough it can be in the preparation process. And even for me, like, especially with you guys, like, you've done so many amazing things, and there's not any one area. There's like 10 things that you guys, like 10 different areas that you guys, operate in. And I'm just like, there's such pressure about like asking the right question, so that question can then reveal this like, huge like information about this person, and you're like getting to know them. So it's like there's a pressure behind like being meticulous with every question. So I totally get it in the preparation process. Totally understand. I was just like, oh, I get that. Love it. Okay, so Hotel for Homeless. Tell me a little bit about that and what it is.
So my dream, one of my dreams, is to create a hotel for the homeless. I came up with the idea when I think I first started doing speaking, and the whole idea about it is just that so the homeless people who live on the streets can have a place to go to. They can have a place to eat, sleep, keep warm, clean, whatever it is. They've got that place to go to, that kind of comfort place. I think I came up with the idea when I went to LA. And before I went to LA, I never really realized the actual like issue of homelessness. It never occurred to me. Even if maybe I just wasn't focusing on it when I walked past people or when I was in London or traveling. I never like focused on it. But until I kind of realized that every avenue or street I went to when we were walking in LA had homeless people, and I was just like, that must be just so like you can't even explain. I was like, I can't say their experiences. I that's not my place to say, because I don't know how they would have felt, or how they might be feeling still now in that situation. But it just kind of makes you think like, if you were in the same situation, you would want someone to give back to you or do something for yourself when you know you've got nowhere else to go to and no one else to help you. So I kind of came up with the idea of having a homeless hotel. It's not something I'm currently working towards, but hopefully, and I really do wish that in the future that I'll be able to make that dream come true, and hopefully kind of not completely solve the issue of homelessness, but kind of aid it.
Amazing. And I love that that's just one of your dreams. What paint me a picture if I said whatever you say in the next 30 seconds will happen? Like, what are some goals that you have for yourself and some things you'd like to accomplish? And obviously you have this, you've come so far, you've done so many things. What's next for Vanessa?
So I'd say my goals right now, or if they could all come true, that would be absolutely fantastic. But I'd say my goal right now, or like short term and long term, I just put them all together. To do an Instagram live interview with Zendaya, because she is very much my biggest role model, apart from my mum, obviously. To be in a Netflix film, a Netflix TV show.
Okay.
To attend my own premiere of my own film. That's a very big dream of mine, to just come up there knowing that the movie that everyone else is watching, I'm in it, and to just come in like I've got the whole idea planned out in my head. Just coming in the big fancy dress, whole makeup and hair team, and just feeling that moment. It's just a moment that I look forward to in the future. And also to do a TED talk and speak at the event called We Day, which is just a big event where lots of young people are influenced and taught and educated on global issues like climate change, and just learning about other motivational figures that they may not be able to hear about in schools or in their own society. But that is just kind of the portion of my dreams, or where I kind of envision myself at this moment.
Amazing, fantastic. Give me a memorable moment in your journey of motivational speaking, YouTubing, pretty much anything that you do. What is one moment that has stood out and you were just like, either you learned a lot from it or took away, something from it?
There are so many different situations I could choose from, but if I had to pick one, I'd say it's from this year, which is when my talk show was on Amazon Prime, or still is, but when we kind of it was announced they was on there, it was just a really just big wow moment. Not for other people as well, but especially for my mum and I, because it's always been the two of us. Like, we've always just kind of been our own just dynamic duo, the mum and daughter duo. But I think for us, because we've worked so hard, just during my whole journey, and the fact that I know that she sacrificed so much for me to take me to an event, or just to sacrifice her time to help me get to where I am right now. So the show, when it was announced that it's actually on Amazon Prime, it was just a really surreal experience. The fact that all of our hard work did pay off, and it's only now that we're starting to kind of see things form in front of our eyes. We're not exactly where we want to be right now, but it is starting. You are starting to see it, and that just shows that you could be on a journey for 5 years, 10 years, some people 20 years, until you get like that big break, or that moment where, honestly, all those hours that you spent your time just working, editing, filming, whatever it is, training, if that's what you want to do, that really does pay off in that moment, and it just really just feels great for you. And that moment, I really did feel proud of myself. I was like, okay, this is actually happening, and all my time and effort that's over the past 4 years actually really is paying off right now. So definitely one of the biggest moments or highlights of my journey overall, and also this year, definitely been the Inspiring Vanessa show.
Fantastic, and congratulations on all that, being on Amazon. I did check it out. It's amazing. I'm curious, what is the process that you went through to put your show on Amazon Prime?
It is slightly confidential, but I think like the interview ideas, when I realized that the cause of the way so many young people think is because they aren't like open or aware to different resources. So, for example, when my mum, she has started her personal development journey, and that's how I got into doing speaking and doing different motivational events and going to those as well. Whereas with some people's parents, or most people's parents, they don't go to those events, so they don't learn the same information that I learned, or they haven't gotten to where I am because they weren't, that wasn't introduced to them. So the show is just a place where young people can tune in and learn what I've learned in the past 4 years, learn about people's journeys, learn about the inspiration, take their own bits from whatever that person is talking about, and to also educate them on global issues. That is a massive thing for me. I do not classify myself as an activist. I just speak up for things that I believe in. I don't think it's politics or political. I just think it's human decency and human at the end of the day, and that people should hear about it. And the fact that I do have a platform, I feel like the responsibility to post about different things. So on the show, we also do aim to educate the young people who do tune in to watch the show as well. But I think just the whole idea about it is to give them a place where they can hear the same things I heard when I first started doing speaking.
Fantastic. Vanessa, you're so phenomenal. You are a motivational speaker. You have your podcasts on iTunes, which I also love. I listened to one of your podcasts, so that's really amazing. You're on Instagram Live, you're YouTubing, you have 2 books. Jeez, girl, what have you not done? It's amazing. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing your time. I'm super, super, super honored that you were here with me today. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you'd like to share with the audience?
Apart from all the things that I do, one of the things that is coming up is the short film I'm going to be in. So acting is definitely something I'd like to pursue. The main things in the future is definitely focusing on still doing speaking as well, but also just media in general. So TV presenting and also acting is a really big passion of mine, something that I really want to pursue. So this year, I was filming a short film, and then also literally like this week, we're going to start filming another short film for a whole week, and I'm super, super excited. It's called Step Back. We've got an amazing cast. You may not know of the main character, who is Marcus in the short film, but he was in Top Boy, which is on Netflix. And he was one of the characters in that, so he's going to be playing the main character in the short film as well. We've also got Angie Lamar, who's playing my mum. I'm Morgan. My character is Morgan. I'm Marcus's sister. And Angie Lamar's, or basically Sheila's daughter, and the whole film is basically based around knife crime and how Marcus gets the second chance to rethink his decisions. So I'm very, very excited to see the final result, even though we haven't even started filming yet. But I'm really, really excited. So just stay tuned for that. And when it comes out, I probably have exactly the same reaction as you will.
Where is it going to come out? Because I'd love to catch it.
I don't know when it's going to come out. Fingers crossed it comes out as soon as possible when we finish filming.
Yeah.
But very unlikely, as I know that production does take a very long time. But if you just follow my Instagram, which is at Inspiring Vanessa, and also producer, which is at Leo Powell, we'll be posting about, or just posting some behind the scenes of the short film filming, and then all the information will come out later on. But I'm just very, very excited overall.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I did remember one thing. I've asked you like a million questions, but I would keep you here forever if I could. I watched your interview with Platform Inspires, on Platform Inspires, and you said something that I really, really loved is, I think it was you were talking about a quote and something to the effect where like we have to prepare the youth for the future. Tell me a little bit about that and like the concept behind what you said.
Obviously, I do strongly believe that the young generation is very much part of our future. We are the next generation. That means we kind of, or other people kind of do have, not that pressure, I'd say, but that responsibility to kind of get us trained a little bit. Otherwise, we're basically training each other at this point. But I definitely say that young people are the future, and the more we give them more resources, more inspiration, and to let them learn about different things, that's how we start creating our leaders and the people who are going to lead other people. It's not like they are being leaders, but it's not just one person and everyone follows. People are going to become leaders in their own way and help each other, and that's how they're going to encourage each other, and that's how I say is like a ripple effect. I call it a ripple effect. So if one person shares their inspiration, that's going to encourage someone else to do that as well. So I definitely say that's the biggest thing for me, and that's why I think young people are our future at the end of the day, and that we should really start focusing on that, because the future is basically in our hands.
Say that last part.
The future is in our hands.
It is. It really is. And one of the things that I loved about what you just said is it's essentially investing in young people is investing in the future. And I completely agree. And this is why I do what I do, because you guys teach me a lot, honestly. Like, there's so much to be learned from young people, and I think as adults we always not, I don't want to say always, but you know, there's a assumption that we're the teacher, you're the student type of thing, you know. It's like but I've seen young people teach so many lessons to adults. So I'm really, really grateful for you coming on, sharing your time and your knowledge, your expertise. You're phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what you continue to do. Thank you so much for sharing your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and everyone who is watching or just tuning in and listening in. Thank you for your time here as well.
Yeah.
And just thank you for letting me be here and just sharing my journey as well. It's very, 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 very grateful that I have this chance to share what I do as well.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll keep in touch, and you know, we'll have you back on, because I know you're gonna keep doing so many amazing things, and I definitely want to catch up with you again. But thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, guys, that's our show for today. I'm so incredibly honored for having inspiring Vanessa here with us today. Please be sure to check out her social media. She has some incredible Instagram live interviews, and I absolutely love seeing her doing her thing and also connecting with her peers and sharing ideas and thoughts. And they share a lot of wisdom, which I love. So please be sure to check out her Instagram lives. She's on YouTubing, and you know, she reviews products of her peers, which is a completely amazing thing to see, because they support each other, and I love that about them. So go on her YouTube, Instagram, and just see all the amazing things that she's doing. Please be sure to also check out our YouTube video and us on social media at Juniority TV, and be sure to subscribe. And I'm super excited that you guys joined us today. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.